Look, managers are a dime a dozen. There are so many great managers out there, but leaders, there are very few leaders. And it's the leaders that make or break companies. It's the leaders that lead companies into the future. Managers maintain, but leaders are out there creating and advancing the company vision. That's why it's so important to become a leader today. You know, I've had moments in business where you're at the office, things are going great, your morning was good, you had your coffee, you got your emails wrapped up, you met with the people are smiling, but then you get that one text, or you get that one question, did you follow up on this? Or you get that one email that something dropped, something didn't come through, or you hear some bad news, or somebody resigns, or somebody does something wrong to the company, and now you have to put out a fire, or two people didn't get something done right, now you got to do a little damage control. Things are going to happen all the time. And sometimes those things are not going to be in the office. Sometimes you're going to hear from family, and you're going to hear from kids, and you're going to hear from parents, and you're going to hear that something just happened, or a tragic event just took place, or whatever is going to happen. And unfortunately, as a leader, you don't have the luxury to tell everybody what's going on. You can't stand in your office and call an emergency meeting and say, look, this is what's going on with me right now. And I've had moments like that, and I have to remember and remind myself sometimes that, like the late Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or some of these top professional athletes in the world say, you got to play hurt. Or as my friend Eric in the office says, former Marine, and now working on the video side of Valuetainment, says they teach a concept called suffer in silence. And I've taught our team here that sometimes you can't just go around and letting everybody know what you're going through. Because the moment that you start telling people, I'm going through this and this and this, it almost sometimes becomes a victim party, or becomes a bitching fest, or it becomes a little bit too toxic, or a little bit too much for the office, a little bit TMI, if that makes sense. And sometimes you have to learn the art of suffering in silence. You have to learn the art of remembering leadership is lonely, because you cannot afford to go out there and show your team that you have all of these issues and problems and negativity, because it affects them as well. They want to know that their leader is what? On it, sharp, focused, energetic, ready for them, ready to take feedback, ready to follow up, ready to work on creative, ready to come up with something new, fired up, excited, energetic. They want all of that good stuff from their leader. And the reason that leaders are called leaders is because they know how to lead. There's a reason that they're followers. They know how to follow, but a leader knows how to lead their troops, how to lead their team, how to lead their office, and make sure that that culture and the environment stays positive, even if they have all of this stuff happening underneath. You don't see it, and it's a true art. I've probably been in thousands of meetings with Patrick, and we've sat with very successful people. We've sat with alpha individuals, and we've sat with some pretty prominent names, very famous, very popular media personalities. Ego exists everywhere. Ego exists in companies, it exists in brands, it exists everywhere, all around management. And I think that ego and leadership go together, but managing your ego is sometimes not very easy. You know, I know I've been in situations where I'm getting feedback from the team, or Patrick is sitting down and giving us constructive criticism, or even maybe straight up criticism, and we've had to manage egos. I've had to manage my ego, because sometimes, you know, they say ego is not your amigo. It's true. And so other people say that, you know, ego stands for edging God out. You know, you're just all about yourself, and I'm the ultimate say and the ultimate power. Some people like to say that ego is the enemy, you know, and I love philosophy, and there's you know, Freud talks about how we all have an id, ego, and superego, you know, and the id is your animal instinct, your ego is kind of your personality, who you are, and then superego is a little Jiminy Cricket subconscious. It's kind of like, this is who you want to be and what you are. Managing your ego is such an important aspect of leadership. It doesn't mean that you don't have a spine, or you're a pushover, or if somebody's telling you what to do and you decide to just, you know, turn the other cheek, or to, you know, subdue to whatever is being assigned to you, or whatever is being told, or how you're being criticized. What it means is that you understand that sometimes it's better to be harder on issues, not individuals. People that don't know how to manage their ego are harder on people, not the issue. Now, I understand things are going to happen. Believe me, we've had mistakes. I've made mistakes. But anytime that we've been hard on people or people have been hard on me, it never ends the greatest. But anytime that collectively we've met in the middle and we're harder on the issue, we find solutions. That's where we want to be. So managing your ego is a part of leadership because it allows you to get to finding solutions. If you don't, you just create more fires, more wars, more battles in the environment that don't help you keep advancing the vision forward. I remember going up to Patrick for a presentation I was supposed to give him. And I remember getting this PowerPoint put together the night before. And you know somebody did a PowerPoint the night before because there's no pictures, no color, no design. All it is the regular black text bullet points on the white background. And you had big titles. And I remember I put these slides together and I'm presenting like some ideas for marketing and social media and some ideas for his social media. And he says, Mario, how long did you work on this? And I lied. I'm not going to lie. I straight up lied. I said, oh, a couple days here and there, gave it a few hours. Now, in my mind, I was justifying because I had spent a few hours thinking about it. And I said, oh, a couple days. Hey, I'm not perfect. I told you I ain't perfect. He says, I can tell that you winged this. You didn't prepare for this. You did this last minute. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, Mario, there's nothing prepared here. All of it is very basic bullet points. Nothing new, nothing different, nothing crazy, nothing off the wall, nothing above and beyond. It's very predictable. It's not unpredictable. And he said, here's what we're going to do. In how much time can you put something really crazy and creative together? How much time do you need? I said, tomorrow. He said, no. Realistically, how long would you need to put something killer that'll blow me away? I said, for like a week. Give me the weekend, a few more days. I need some hours. I apologize. I'm sorry, Pat. You're right. I did wing it. But if I had at least a week because I was working on this and working on this, like, I get it. So you need a week? Okay, 1 week. Put it in your calendar. All right, I'm going to put it in my calendar. Okay, and what's the expectation and what you need to get done by this? Meaning, here's my expectation from you. And he gave me his notes. He said, okay, so now that we know you're going to need a week, all right, here's what I expect from you. I expect 10 slides. I want 2 slides on this, 2 slides on this, 2 slides on, and he gave me the whole format and structure that he wanted. He said, before that, the day before, I want you to let me know if you're ready for my meeting so that I don't sit here another hour and have to listen to an unprepared presentation. And if it's not done, here's what's going to happen. And if it is done, here's what's going to happen. Does that make sense? Yes. Any questions that you have for me? No questions, Pat. So can I expect this to be done by then? We have the date. We have the time. Is there any other thing that we need to know right now? No. Great. Now that we've managed expectations, I'm holding you accountable. Now, most people hear that and they get turned off. Oh my gosh, micromanaging, too much control. Oh my gosh, the ego. Don't have an ego listening to this right now. Ego is not your amigo. But at the same time, it's holding people accountable is not about micromanagement. Holding people accountable allows there to be a very clear expectation, a very clear deadline, a very clear deliverable in that moment, and it keeps things on the same playing field. Meaning, I know what you want from me, you know what I'm supposed to deliver to you. Once we had those deadlines, once we had the deliverable and the expectation, there would be no misunderstandings. Holding people accountable the right way, not holding people accountable last minute, not holding people accountable without giving direction, holding people accountable the right way, meaning, here's the expectation, here's what I'm going to deliver, here's what you need to deliver, here's the date, and here's why and what we're going to do with it. All of that information, then there are no arguments, there are no cold shoulders, there are no mixed emotion, there's no reading into things that don't exist. It's simply accountability. See, leadership is also about making sure that we're holding people accountable. But before you can hold people accountable, you got to hold yourself accountable too. So if you're an intrapreneur, a leader, a manager, if you're somebody who considers themselves an intrapreneur, an aspiring intrapreneur, you got to make sure that you check yourself. Do I like being held accountable? Am I currently being held accountable, and how am I doing? Do I hold people accountable, and how do I do that? And from there, you realize if accountability is a strong suit or not. But it's a crucial part of leadership to get things done. I think about 4 years ago, we're at a New Year's Eve dinner with Patrick and his family. And I told Patrick, you know what, Pat, I have to leave early tonight. He's like, you're going to miss the celebration. I said, I know, but I have to go and take off and make sure that our launch for the marketing and for this event, we were doing something with Valuetainment at that point. I got to make sure the site is working and this is being checked and the forms are working. So I got to get back to the office and make sure we're late. He's like, I totally understand. Do what you got to do. Got to the office around 10 o'clock. And then after checking the site, checking the forms, checking what we're working on, I realized there were a lot of issues with it. And I realized that our site wouldn't update. And there were some things that weren't working. So I said, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be here all night. Sure enough, I was. Maybe till about 4 or 5 in the morning till I got a chance to sleep. And when the launch came up around 9 o'clock, everything was ready, everything was prepared. And I'll never forget that Patrick pulled me aside afterwards and he said, I'm so glad that I knew while I was at dinner that we'd be able to get this launch off and get the marketing done and get the site up and running in time for the video, because you said you were going to do it. And I'm so glad that when you say you're going to get it done, you get it done. I felt comfortable because you were there. You know, keeping your word gives people a lot of confidence. Now, I've had a lot of moments where I did not keep my word. So definitely not always on point. But keeping my word is very important to me because I realize that it's a domino effect if you don't. You know, one person not delivering their part of a project impacts every other person. They got to pick up slack. They got to help out. They got to take time away from everything else. Keeping your word is such a valuable asset to a company, to a team, in leadership, because it tells people when they say it, they're going to get it done. I can rely on you. And if you don't do it, it leaves a gap for all of these issues and all of these vulnerabilities and all of this opportunity for things to just keep going wrong. So people that can keep their word are very valuable. This leadership principle is very simple. If you keep your word, you're a strong leader. If you don't, you're not. And if you're not, I understand. I haven't kept it all the time, but I wanted to and I did my best to. And if I didn't, I was proactive about it and try to make sure that I picked up some help along the way to get it done. But strong leaders, strong managers, successful entrepreneurs are very big and can be counted on to keep their word. I'll never forget being about 19 or 20 years old, and I was at an event where somebody said, the biggest gift you could give a mentor, or the biggest gift you could give someone who's been there for you and believed in you and always backed you up, is to become independent. And the reason that's so important in leadership is because everyone starts off as a follower. You know, at least in the work environments that I've been a part of. It might be different for you in different aspects, but great leaders are often people who have been great followers. I know that I wouldn't be able to lead the way that I do without following Patrick and without following, you know, the concepts and principles of some of the books and content that we teach ourselves at Valuetainment. So following is very important, but there comes a point where after following, you also start to sideline. You know, some people would call that partnering or, you know, being co-operators of an organization or a company, you know, and I know that for myself, I have followed Patrick for many years. Then I eventually started running next to him, meaning trying to keep up with the operation and not just follow, but I know what he expects. So let me just try to show you, I know what you expect. Let me show you that I can deliver on these things without you asking for it. But you don't need to come and tell me all the time. And then eventually you graduate from following, being a sideline, to leading the organization, leading the team, leading the initiatives, leading some of the projects, thinking ahead, thinking 3, 4, 5 moves ahead. Patrick has his book, Your Next 5 Moves, thinking like a chess player. What is going to happen here? And I think that's a very important aspect of leadership, because if you're a strong follower, and then if you're sidelining and helping everybody else out, but eventually you start leading the organization, you start leading the team, which starts with the decision to want to. You can't be forced to do that. It's got to come from you as an entrepreneur. But if you start leading the organization, then you allow the boss or the mentor or the coach to free up some of their time. You give them thinking time. You allow them to buy back some of their time. We need our boss, we need our mentor, we need the CEOs, we need the people that are leading the organization and the vision forward. We need them and their minds free to do what they do best. So follow quickly, sideline sharply, and then lead with a lot of intention and clarity as best as you can, because that is what a lot of people don't do. They spend their whole careers following the boss. Eventually, even though they may not tell you, it's kind of what they need. They need you to start leading, not following, and not just waiting for orders, leading. Leading with context, not control, is about developing leaders. It's about everything not coming to your desk for you to approve. Avoiding the bottleneck where everything has to be approved and go through you. When you lead with context, you're giving the general idea of what you need done, when you need it by, but you're letting everybody else determine on their own how they're going to get it done. And then not micromanaging the process so they can get it done, and you can realize, wow, I have leaders and individuals who were able to execute this based on them knowing what? The company, the values, the standards, what you want, based on them knowing you and hearing from you so much from the past, which means I hope you trained your people and you're training people on those things. But if they know what you like and don't like, give them a little bit of that authority and the context and let them control the process so you don't have to. Freeing up your time, developing leaders, and avoiding you having to do everything for everyone. Watch what happens with speed. Watch what happens with excitement. They get to own a little bit of those projects. They get to say, I got it done. You get to give them recognition. It's a win-win when you do less controlling, less micromanaging, giving more context and more of that idea of what you expect and want. You got to love people. I'm sorry, but in the world of leadership, you have to love people. You know why? Because things are going to be tough sometimes. Life is going to happen. Moments are going to come up where sometimes you can't just treat people like a number. And you don't want to be treated like a number. You don't want to be just treated like a manager or a boss. You know, I've had moments where we have heart-to-hearts with our team, and at the end of the day, here's the one question that we like to ask in our environment. Maybe it helps you. Are we going to be working together long-term? Are we going to be seeing each other for the next few years? Are you here to build a long-term career? Do you want to be with this brand and the company long-term? Yes. Then we need to learn how to love each other, because we're going to have a lot of moments like a family does, like a great successful team does, where we have those locker room talks, we have some tough moments. Without love, there is no foundation to build on. It's just numbers. It's just business. And loving on your people doesn't mean being soft on them or easy on them, but it means remembering that they're people, remembering that they're human, and remembering that at the end of the day, if we have love for each other, we have love for the brand and love for the company, we can do something together. But just like any relationship, when love is gone, sometimes you either stay together for what? For the paperwork, you stay together for the resources, you stay together for all the wrong reasons. There's got to be love for what you do, love for the people that you're working with, because let's be real, I don't care how tough you are, I don't care how much you work out, I don't care how awesome your title is or your resume is, you want to be loved by your people too. But that's earned and that's given. So if you want love, you got to give love. And if you don't love your people, start getting a little bit better at loving on your people. It is a big part of leadership. I remember going to Patrick's office one time and saying, Patrick, I'm so mad. I'm so upset right now. He said, what's going on? Well, such and such was on the team and they've chosen to go a different direction and they're no longer going to be working with us. And I'm just upset because they've been hanging out with this person and, you know, I don't like this person and I can't believe that they chose them over me. And look at what Valuetainment has to offer. Look at the benefits. Look at the kind of potential, the vision, the money they can make. He's like, how's your relationship with them? And I said, it's good. What is good? How often do you spend time talking about the future, identity, family, getting to know them, really finding out what they're driven by and what they're looking for, their goals? At least an hour. He said, an hour a day? I said, no, maybe since they got on board. How long have they been here? 5 months. He said, you have no relationship. See, getting people to do things they wouldn't do without you or on their own or because they want to sometimes comes down to relationship. And building relationship is a big part of leadership, because unless you build a relationship, you can't really mentor somebody. You ever tried giving advice to people who you have no relationship with? hey, it's really good to meet you for the first time ever at this networking event. I really think that you should consider loving your wife more. What? How long have I known you? What do you know about my family and my wife? You know what? Hey, it's really good to meet you. Yeah, I really think that your company should start investing a little bit more in their people. And then, what? You just met me. Why are you giving me advice if you don't know me? So building that relationship is the first door that opens up to what? To mentoring somebody, to giving somebody advice, to giving them feedback. Most people and a lot of people, what they do, and a lot of entrepreneurs, where they fail, is they fail to build relationships with people. Now that doesn't mean what? Go to dinner every night, go to lunch every day, have breakfast every day. It doesn't mean go drinking with them. It doesn't mean go party hardcore with them. It doesn't mean go to every family gathering. However, it means when you're trying to get somebody to lead, or you're trying to develop somebody that's in your organization, that you take the time in crucial moments to build those relationships. Some people like it, some don't. If they don't, they're not a leader. And if you're not good at building them, if you're not good at trying to get better at relationship building, you're not a leader. Because a leader knows the value of building relationships. Working with Patrick over the last 16 years, I've seen how many times he's been accessible to people. And relationships is about accessibility. If you're the kind of person who doesn't like to hang with people, doesn't like to talk to people, doesn't like to be around people, you're going to have a really hard time being a leader. Because in leadership, building that relationship and being accessible is very important. So as you're building relationships and as you're giving people the access to your time and you're making yourself accessible for these moments, also make sure they're earning it. But building the relationship is a crucial part to retention, and it's a crucial part to developing somebody, because if you can build a relationship, if you can mentor them, then you can challenge them. You know, Patrick has said before that first you become a buddy, then you can mentor, then you can challenge. It's when you try to become a buddy and then challenge somebody, there's a little bit of conflict. Is when you only try to mentor somebody and challenge them, they're like, I don't know you. And if you only challenge, there's no relationship. So you first build that relationship, then you can mentor and help somebody process issues, then you can challenge them. And they know that when you challenge them, that you care about them at the core. The reason that I've stayed loyal to Patrick, I've stayed loyal to Valuetainment, I'm still here, it's been such a long time, and I'm loyal to my team, is we have relationships. If we didn't have relationships, it'd be very difficult. But I know that if I get called out by the big man, by the boss, I know that if he's tough on me or he's holding me accountable and managing my ego, I know he cares about me as a friend. And I know that deep down, there is no manipulation happening. He's trying to persuade me to be a better leader. But I know that because we have a relationship. And the last thing I'll say about leadership is have fun. Enjoy the process. Like, work is not easy all the time. Dealing with people is not easy all the time. Heck, dealing with yourself is not easy all the time. I know sometimes dealing with myself, looking at myself in the mirror, I'm like, dude, sometimes I don't like you. Sometimes it gets tough to talk to you. And the same thing at the office. There's going to be fires. There's going to be things that are missed, balls that are dropped. There's going to be so many things that happen. But you got to have fun and enjoy the process. Whatever it is that fills you up, whatever it is in your office that you can do for your team to keep everybody fired up, you got to remember to have fun. And one of the recent quotes that I read was, sometimes it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And if you're on this journey with your company, whether you're a startup, you're an established company, you're a company that's blowing up, that's just crazy growing right now, whether you have hundreds of people, a few people, you guys got to have fun. But it starts with the leader making sure they're enjoying the process. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like this video and you want to get more videos. I did a couple of other videos you can check out. And if you have any other comments or thoughts on the topic of leadership that maybe I didn't mention or that you want to teach me, please comment below, and I'll be seeing you soon online.